Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you'll be listening to right here, youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. Of course, taped live to Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. I had no internet last night, so I had to watch Raw on my phone using cellular data. And unfortunately, because of Xfinity's massive outage, we couldn't do the review last night, which is probably all the same. You know, I've talked about Juice, Larson.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Wrestle Juice, my wrestling show over there at Friendoville.
Did you not have any juice last night?
Yesterday, it was the entire day.
Interesting. I didn't notice in the morning.
The entire day, I was juice-free. We do news brew. I remember I woke up. Something happened in the morning. I forget what that was. But we do news brief at noon. Mm-hmm. And moments. I had actually uploaded 4/5 of the things that we were supposed to upload to the audio side of things. And I was just making sure that like the Manscaped ad sounded okay.
Yeah.
And I hadn't hit save yet on that side of things because you could have taken over from there.
Yeah.
It was ready to go. I just had to hit save. And so right when that happens, and right as I was about to drag the episode from news brief episode from my desktop over to YouTube, I hear Summer say, "Steve, something happened to the internet." And I looked down at the little internet sign down here, and it was the little globe.
It was the globe rather than the lines, huh? The curves.
Well, I don't even do the curves here because I'm plugged in.
Oh, that's
so it's
right.
like the little T monitor with the plug, the Ethernet cable. And so, and it was at like whatever 1 o'clock. Well, there goes my camera, so that's great. It was like at 1 o'clock that happened. And are you kidding me? It's seriously not going to let me do this while I'm. Oh wow, that's crazy. That's weird.
What?
I think I've lost juice again.
What?
My juice is gone again, Larson. Anyways, so yeah, it was. Let me get this camera back online. So yeah, that happened. Internet was down at 1 o'clock. It was told I was told that it was going to get back up by 6:20, which turned into 10:20, which turned into 2:30. Woke up at 6:30, and everything was fine.
What is up with your technology of late?
I don't know, man.
This is something else.
Hold on a second.
This is something else. Anyways, well, Steve works all that out. Well, happy your internet's working now. Now if we get your camera working, we get this show on the road.
All right. You are recording this meeting.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man. Anyway, so Raw was last night.
Well, before we get to Raw, let's talk something real quick
What's
because we got NXT tonight. We got Finn versus Karrion Kross. It's gonna be a huge match. While we're talking about NXT, assuming technology does what it's supposed to do, we will be doing our NXT recap tonight as opposed to tomorrow morning. Our schedule is all messed up this week. Because we're going to be on Quizzlemania tomorrow, another thing that's very exciting. Again, hopefully technology does what it's supposed to do. We decided to do the NXT recap tonight, give us more time to prepare for Quizzlemania tomorrow because we want that W.
Yeah, so what's going to...
Hopefully
what's
Steve doesn't stab me in the back in the process.
What's going to entail... So you're safe. You're safe. You're good. I'm looking to get a win at Quizzlemania. So, of course, I was thinking to myself, okay, how can this go down? Maybe I got to change partners. It happens in wrestling a lot. You can't be sore about it.
Yes, I can, and I will be. You know what happens?
Really?
Tag teams just don't generally break up and then everything's cool. You know what happens when tag teams break up? They want to fight each other.
They feud.
Yes.
They feud.
And if you were to stab me in the back, guess what? I'd want to fight you.
Really?
Yeah.
But a mea culpa. Isn't that an apology? I'm offering you a mea culpa.
Well, I'm waiting to see how things play out tomorrow before. That's because you say, "Oh, you're good." Still feel like it could just be.
So here's the thing. I approached Alex last night during her live stream on the Twitch, and I was like, "Hey, how about it? You and I will team up, MF Queen here, right? Or Joshi and Raw, something like that." And Kayla was there in the chat. I didn't realize that. She was like, "Hey," I was like, "Whoa, my bad." And then Alex was like, "Hey, why don't we all just be a faction and then freebird the tag titles?" I was like, "What a great idea." And so people came up with the faction name Church of Friendos. So I was like, oh, that's perfect. That's a great idea. So we're the four of us are going to go into this as a faction. And so if they win, we win. And if we win, they win. And if we lose, and they lose, we all lose.
Yeah, we all lose.
Yeah. So now we've got, look at what this politicking has done. It's improved our odds to come away with the win.
But by doing so, you sowed a level of distrust in me, your partner, that it's an uphill climb to get it back.
Yeah, you'll be, not really. Though.
Fool me once, shame on and you fool me twice, won't be fooled again. Anyways,
hey, would you be super sad if I just put my video up for the stream and not for you?
Well, then it's a problem with me trying to record.
Oh,
unless you're recording already, in which case,
of course I'm recording. Yeah, so we'll just do
then
that
just upload that.
Yeah, we'll do that. All right. See if I can do this now. Anyways, to talk a little bit about Raw last night.
Well, first, they've got a little bit of
Very
NXT news. This is courtesy of Fightful Select. We say this all the time, but we mean it. Subscribe to Fightful Select. It's great. You get wrestling news in your email. So they got something about NXT call-ups. I know Steve was super hyped about Rick Booge finally making his way to the main roster.
Booge is great.
But could he be the first of several call-ups we're going to see in the coming weeks? Fightful Select is reporting that, quote, there are plans for additional call-ups to Raw and SmackDown, including talent from both NXT and NXT UK.
Yeah.
Before we continue, here's a word from the sponsor of today's show, BetterHelp. Several years ago, while dealing with severe anxiety, I learned the importance of talking to a therapist, but also discovered that it can be extremely difficult to find the right person to talk to. Today, BetterHelp is providing a safe and private online environment where your needs will be assessed and you'll be matched with your own licensed personal therapist.
BetterHelp isn't a crisis line, nor is it self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online, all without having to ever sit in another uncomfortable waiting room.
BetterHelp is dedicated to facilitating great therapeutic matches. Send your counselor messages at any time or schedule regular weekly video or phone sessions, and they've made it free and easy to change therapists if needed.
And you don't have to limit yourself to counselors in your area. BetterHelp services are available worldwide, so you can find the expertise you need regardless of location.
We want you to start living a happier life today. As a Going In Raw listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/raw. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health.
Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
Let us speculate, Steve. What other names could we be seeing making the move from NXT or NXT UK to the main roster?
Well, I mean, one of the obvious names, it's sort of an underwhelming one, but Amir Jordan just lost to Kenny Williams, but he also issued a statement that's basically said, hey, I got to get some work done on me, so I don't think he would be in line for a call-up. I'd love to say Mustache Mountain, but Tyler Bate just won that Heritage Cup.
Yep.
Although it's entirely possible that because they filmed that a long time ago, I mean, the thing is, like, NXT and NXT UK just do their own things until Vince comes around and says, hey, I want some people up. And then they have to, like, go back and figure all that stuff out. So even if Tyler Bate just won the Heritage Cup, then, they might just have to get that thing off him so that he can make his debut or do the thing where he shuffles back and forth. Mm-hmm. Kaylee Ray obviously is going to be one because she's going to drop that title to Mako Satomura.
Finn seems, assuming he loses tonight, I think that's pretty obvious.
I think the reason they're doing that match tonight is because he's going to go back up.
Yeah, he just did an interview where he says, ideally he'd like to be back on Raw or SmackDown.
Okay,
I saw that today.
Yeah. I mean, dude, during Thunderdome, it's one thing, but like you have him with his that entrance is like made for fans. He's a big deal. Yeah, and there's nothing left for him to do in NXT.
No, and hopefully, and this is a long shot, when he makes his way back to main roster, they keep what's really been working about his character right now.
God, I know.
I mean, this is far and away the best work he has done since signing with WWE.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
and for him just to go on Raw or SmackDown and then to do something else, go back to the smiling Finn, would be a massive disservice to him. Imagine this iteration of Finn stepping up to Roman Reigns. That would be great.
I know.
That'd be great.
Like, could you imagine if they let him put like gun fingers up to Roman's forehead?
Great.
How like that would give me chills. That would be amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be great. So yeah, there's tons of opportunities there. Will they make the most of them? If they go to Raw, up in the air. If they go to SmackDown, I've got faith.
I got more faith, but yeah. Main roster creative, you don't know. Speaking of main roster creative, we could talk Raw now.
Yeah.
I thought whenever Raw focuses on putting on good matches that are kind of long and don't do too much talking, the show is better.
Not too long ago, I did like a video over at Friendoville's, like 5 things you could do to help Raw right now. One of them was start the show with like a really, really long match and a really strong segment. Like, remember SmackDown like a month ago, they did that like 45-minute long opening segment.
Yeah.
And it's just, if it's engrossing, if it's even like mildly engrossing, Drew McIntyre and Kofi Kingston I'm so glad that they picked up on that thread from last week, which I thought they would just drop. But Kofi came out and did exactly what he should have done and said, hey, I didn't need your help, Drew. I didn't want your help. And by the way, how is it that you lose so much and continually get these opportunities?
And
like, it's time for somebody new.
He added, though, of course, you get opportunity after opportunity. I lost my title, and I never got a one-on-one rematch.
Exactly. And I'm really glad that they brought that up. With Raw, you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
So yeah, and then they proceeded to have just a killer match.
Yeah, it was really good. I kind of wish there was a couple matches that had kind of funky endings. This being one of them, especially considering what was decided afterwards by Adam Pearce in relation to that match. This one and then the main event both had kind of weird endings. But like with the Drew Kofi match in particular, if you're essentially just pushing to next week to determine who's going to face Lashley at Hell in a Cell, that's the ultimate kind of spinning the wheels. Or if the whole thing is we're going to find a different way to have a weird ending to the match next week to motivate a triple threat at Hell in a Cell, well, you could have just done that here.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I don't know why they would plan out rematches.
I don't know.
especially they already have a rematch problem.
I know,
right.
Especially with the match like last night was so dang good. People want a satisfying or conclusive finish to the match because it is so dang good. And then just to kind of push till next week. Yeah, I'm sure the match next week will be good too. But if it's a situation where they just don't know who they want to face Lashley at Hell in a Cell yet, well, these are the things you got to work out, at some point. And just because you give yourself an extra week, who's to say Vince doesn't change his mind? If they know they want to go the route of a triple threat, you had that open to you last night. So,
let me ask you this.
All right.
Is there any chance they did what they did to try to keep Kofi looking strong? I don't think it's going to be a triple threat.
I don't think so either. But because I don't feel like if Drew's going to get his 101 title shot, it's not going to be till Money in the Bank when fans are there. Because then he might actually win. But what I thought was going to happen is, especially once Lashley and MVP go from the stage down to the ringside, that they were going to end up kind of doing a reverse what we saw last week, where Drew cost Lashley the match. We'd see Lashley cost Drew the match. Kofi would beat Drew, and he'd get the title shot at Hell in a Cell. That's what I was fully expecting. It would have made sense. It would have been a protected loss for Drew. Drew does not lose a lot, especially on Raw. So it'd be a pretty huge win for Kofi, even though if it was assisted. And then Drew can kind of double down the idea that, well, Kofi, you needed help to win both these matches to get this title shot. So, anyways, I'm kind of surprised it didn't happen, but maybe that'll happen next week, even though Lashley and MVP are barred from ringside next week.
Got some breaking news here, Larson.
Huh.
WWE and Adnan Virk have mutually agreed to part ways.
Interesting.
WWE's Twitter 3 minutes ago.
Interesting.
As of this recording, WWE thanks Adnan for his work. Whoa, baby.
I mean, I can't say I'm surprised?
I'm not shocked. I'm a little surprised that it came this early. Is Tom Phillips just going to come back now?
Maybe. I mean, I understand their motivation in wanting to get someone, because it seems this is something they tried before to get more of a sports feel. Mm-hmm. But far too often, Adnan's role the last couple of weeks is just him being him saying, "Oh, whoa,
whoa, baby, wow," which he gives it his all with that.
He does.
Wow!
I always thought he was pretty solid on sports radio. He does baseball. It's just I don't think it was a great fit from the beginning.
No, it wasn't. You have to have some level of knowledge of pro wrestling.
Twice last night he referred to kickouts as push-offs or something like that.
Really? I didn't even notice that. Oh, wow. Xavier was pushed off.
It was once during the Sheamus match.
He just tugged off Matt Riddle.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
He just jacked him off.
Oh, goodness.
Adnan, clearly that is not the right phrase.
Can't say that, Adnan.
You can't say that.
You can't say that. It's not the proper term, and also you can't say that.
Is Kofi going to jack off Drew? No,
my gosh.
You got to stop saying that. Wow, baby.
So, no announcement.
Fine.
Was there any announcement for WWE who would be his replacement?
No.
It'll probably be Tom Phillips.
Tom Phillips sitting there. All right, baby. third time. Let's try this again. Oh, man. My preferred Quizzlemania tag partner, Queen of the Ring, is here in the chat, Larson.
Again, you're here sowing distrust between you and I, just by saying that.
Not distrust. Come on. You know what, dude? Here's the thing. Sometimes I like to push buttons just to make sure that you care. Sometimes you're very cold, you're very distant, and I just want to make sure that you still care. That's what I want.
I care about being stabbed in the back. I care about you up for debate, but being stabbed in the back, I definitely don't like that.
Okay, see, that's the problem that I have with you. If you're going to be a tag partner, you need to care about me. Damn it, I care about you.
I would care about you if you didn't try to sell me out every opportunity you got. Think about it that way.
So Raw started out with MVP introducing Lashley. Whoa, baby. And we get a recap of last week. MVP reiterates that in July, WE is going on the road. He says, we have this perennial dark cloud that hangs over us. And the name of that dark cloud is Drew McIntyre. And I'm like, amen, MVP. This guy is all over the place, and he keeps on getting all these opportunities. I'm firmly Team Lashley at this point. Lashley gets on the mic, says, I beat Drew at WrestleMania. True. He says, and at Backlash, I beat him and Braun Strowman. He says, and if we're up to me, no go on Drew. We're moving on. MVP says, we tried to move on. You stepped up. Kofi stepped up. Once again, Drew showed up. And then Drew's music hits, and MVP's like, see? Exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so Drew comes out and says if it weren't for MVP, he would have won at Mania. If it weren't for Braun, he would have won at Backlash. He wants a one-on-one shot against Lashley. He thinks Bobby wants it too to prove that he's the number one star on Raw. But then Drew said, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Lashley knows he doesn't quite measure up to me. Maybe he has no balls. And he asked the women who joined Lashley in the ring if Lashley has balls.
Did you get a read on what their response was? Because the phone is really, it's not a huge phone.
I was taking notes during this, so I missed the reaction.
I didn't know if they were starting to do measuring out stuff, some sort of elephantitis or small normal situation. I couldn't really get if there were hand movements. Whoa, baby.
Yeah, who knows? Anyway, so Drew mentions he lost to Kofi last week, and Lashley said only because Drew hit him. Lashley lost to Kofi last week, and Lashley said that's only because Drew hit him with the cane. And Drew says, I only hear excuses. So Kofi and Xavier Woods come out next. Kofi says they're both making good points, but let's not breeze by the fact that he pinned Lashley. And then Lashley wonders if he thanked Drew yet. Drew tells Kofi, no, he hasn't, but you're welcome. And Kofi's like, hold on. What did you say? And he steps right up to him.
Yeah, it was great.
It was great. And he says, you seem to be insinuating that I couldn't have won without you. I don't need your help. The reason I answered the challenge because I never got my one-on-one title shot. Drew gets rematch after rematch. And he says, myself and WWE Universe would like Drew to step aside and get behind him because he did something Drew couldn't do, and that was beat Bob Lashley. So Drew and Kofi start arguing. Adam Pearce comes out to the ramp with the Monday Night Raw theme song. He says, I got an easy way to settle this debate. Kofi versus Drew. Winner gets Lashley a Hell in a Cell. And MVP says, great idea. We're going to set up the VIP lounge on the ramp and watch the match play out. Before we got this match, we got the first of several promos by WWE superstars hyping up WWE's return to the road.
These were fun. I really liked these. I thought these were really fun. Yeah.
I felt like these are all very much situations where they were getting scripts 2 minutes before the cameras were rolling. This is obvious dialogue that they didn't think up. They were reading. It felt stilted and forced. I couldn't stand them.
Oh, I liked it. I mean, the only ones that really stood out to me, I think, were Braun, Johnny.
I'm your conductor of destruction.
Oh, come on, that's great. You know, he read that and he looked like he was trying not to laugh the entire time. I'm your conductor of destruction. And so yeah, he does that. Johnny Drip Drip had one later on where literally he was just laughing his way through it. I thought these were pretty funny, man. So yeah, we get one of those from Braun to kick things off. I have bad news for you. They're going to keep on coming.
Yeah, they're going to double down. We got a month and a half before they return to the road. We're going to get these every week.
It's going to be like half of Raw is going to be taken up with these things at that point, especially if they don't start selling out quickly. All right, before we continue, here's a word from the sponsor of today's show, Manscaped. Hey, Larson.
Yeah?
Father's Day is almost upon us, and we're all on the lookout for the ideal gift for the hairy dads in our lives. Imagine surprising your dad with a body hair trimmer that says, your balls will thank you, on the box. Make your dad proud this year and get him, or yourself, the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0.
You know, being a hairy dad myself, I could speak to the horror of trying to do some grooming down there and shaving a bit too close. You know, but Steve and I, we're here to tell you the days of having to worry about nicks and cuts to your undercarriage are over, thanks to Manscaped's new Lawnmower 4.0.
Now, you may ask yourself, hey, me, how is Lawnmower 4.0 different than other trimmers? Well, me, I'm happy you asked. You see, Manscaped's 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology, as well as a 4000K LED spotlight so you can see exactly where and what you're shaving.
Manscaped also has other options for all your dad's grooming needs. Does your dad have a thicket of nostril or ear hair? Then gift him a weed whacker, nose and ear hair trimmer. Don't waste time and money getting your dad a gift he'll just put in a drawer and forget about. Get him the gift you know he'll use. Give him the gift of Manscaped.
And right now, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code RAW at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code RAW. Don't forget that you came from your dad's balls. This year, show your original home some love with Manscaped. So, yeah, we had this Kofi Kingston versus Drew McIntyre match. Thought it was great. I love that Drew has just added the Michinoku driver to his repertoire. It's great. Did you notice, like, Charlotte had 2 different shout-outs? Because I know last week she did the back elbow to the spinning
moonsault thing, yeah.
Yeah, and then she did the double moonsault thing. That was great.
Yep.
I love whenever wrestlers will just add something new to their moveset. It's great. And especially when it's impressive as Drew McIntyre doing a Michinoku driver.
Dude, he does it. He waits till the absolute last minute to tuck the person's head. Because
I know.
Last night it looked like he spiked Kofi right in the top of his head.
I know. Xavier Woods took a nasty. That deadlift German suplex over the rope was boy. And when they did the replay, because I thought it was ugly, they did a replay. I was like, oh,
this is as ugly as you thought. I know. He landed kind of like this on the back of his head. I know.
It reminded me of Ricky Starks, and I think he's going to be out for like a couple months or something. So anyways, mid-match, Drew has the upper hand, and he just sort of calls out Lashley. Bob Lashley and MVP move to commentary. A bit later, Kofi sort of sends Drew, using his own momentum, outside of the ring. They have a stare-off. Kofi comes off the top of Drew. So he comes off the top, lands on Drew. He flies into Bobby Lashley. They get back in the ring. Kofi gets 2 with an SOS. And then Bobby Lashley and MVP attack Drew and Kofi at literally the exact same moment to ensure the double DQ. Match gets thrown out, and then Drew claymores Lashley. But I thought it was a super solid match.
It was really great.
One thing, and another thing I'm gonna mention here, although I say this, even I guess this backstage encounter here, it's got Rhea Ripley. She comes up to Charlotte. Rhea still, like, the dialogue that they're writing for her just does not work at all. She tells Charlotte she's going to lose to Asuka tonight, just like she lost to her last week. Charlotte, because they mentioned that she has another match with Asuka tonight. Nikki Cross comes up, says she can beat them both. Charlotte says, well, if I didn't have Asuka tonight, I'd beat you in 2 minutes flat. Rhea says, this is why people don't like you, because you talk down to other people. And she says, okay, well, then accept the challenge. And she says, okay, fine, I accept the challenge. And then that becomes a beat the clock challenge. Oh, yeah. Which I know you love. Mm-hmm. What I was going to say is, and I sort of afterwards, we had like a backstage segment with Pearce where Drew and Kofi come up. And it's a really well done segment. It's really effective. I feel like last night, because of the elongated matches, we didn't have nearly as many sort of empty talking segments.
Yeah.
So often Raw is just littered with these segments that could easily be chopped.
Yeah.
I feel like there wasn't as much as that last
night. The only talking stuff that should happen is either to motivate matches for that night or to advance story. And so often there's talking bits, whether it's promos in the ring, backstage, interviews, that just kind of recaps.
Yeah.
Information that we already know, and it's completely unnecessary.
Doesn't move anything.
It doesn't move anything. So if you're not moving anything with a talking bit, cut it. Add time to matches. Before we get the Beat the Clock Challenge match, we get the Hollywood Eva Marie video package again. Then we get Rhea Ripley versus Nikki Cross. So Rhea has 2 minutes to pin Nikki. If that doesn't happen, Nikki Cross gets the win.
Did Rhea understand the point of a Beat the Clock Challenge? Because for the first 30 seconds, it's like she was putting the onus on Nikki to beat her.
Yeah,
because she kept on like looking at her fake watch saying, the time. And I'm like, no, you're supposed to beat her in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, Nikki got a bunch of offense off. She's looking for a bulldog. Rhea pushes her off, hits a drop kick. And rather at any point really trying to go in for Riptide or getting the win, she just starts hitting her. And time's expiring, and she's stomping Nikki in the corner. And the idea the commentary is trying to get across is that Rhea was so infuriated that Nikki had lasted as long as she had, that she had the temerity to put up a fight, that Rhea kind of lost her mind. It was just stomping Nikki in the corner and not paying attention to what she was supposed to be doing. Time expires. Nikki wins, so she's celebrating ringside. Rhea's just kind of like, in the ring. Charlotte walks down.
That was I kind of just feel like that. None of this made any sense. I love a Beat the Clock Challenge if it makes sense.
Hell yeah.
I love it. It's great. But like this didn't make, like, she was just milling about. And Corey Graves even kept on saying, does she understand she's on the clock right now? Like, the clock is ticking down. You could hit a Riptide, but you got to hit the Riptide.
Yeah, I know. So Nikki's celebrating, and then Charlotte walks down and just starts laughing at Rhea, just pointing at her and laughing.
And Nikki is like mocking Charlotte for some reason when she should be mocking Rhea for having lost. Nobody knew what they were. It felt like they were all told what to do, but none of it made any sense.
It was really bizarre. It was like they got handed the wrong pages of script.
That's exactly what it was like. Yeah. They all got handed the wrong pages.
Because Nikki was operating with a sense of urgency when she's the one that should have been milking the clock.
Right. Yeah.
She
should have been looking at her fake clock saying, hey, I'm evading you and you only have a little bit of time left. Mm-hmm. That was weird. That was really weird.
That was weird. After that, we had a Damian Priest promo about going back on the road. And then we have the bit where Kofi and Drew barge into Pearce's office, essentially saying, hey, what are we going to do? That's not right. How are we going to determine Lashley's opponent? And Pearce says, we're going to run it back next week. Rematch. Kofi says, I'm fine with it so long as you keep Lashley MVP out of it. He says, I have no problem beating Drew next week. And then Lashley again at Hell in the Cell. And Drew says, I said this before. I'll go through anybody to get that title back.
Mm-hmm.
So
after that, we had Charlotte versus Asuka. Again, just an absolutely terrific match between these two. They really do have special chemistry.
They do, but I really wish they would find a way to explain why last week's win by Asuka. I know you could connect the dots if you think about it. while Asuka's win last week seemingly didn't matter at all.
It's not that you have to think about it; is that you have to come up with the story
You have to
yourself.
concoct the story. Yeah.
That's the worst thing. Is that it's one thing when they give you everything and then you have to connect the dots. It's another when you have to concoct the story, and that's what they did here. And you're right; it's irritating that last week Asuka got a win on Charlotte, and yes, there was a distraction involved, but nonetheless, she got the win. That doesn't seem to matter any other time.
No.
And so all of a sudden now Charlotte has to beat Asuka again, and then she gets the shot. It didn't make any sense.
It didn't make a whole lot of sense. And I know last week Sonya was saying, hey, it's nothing definitive. We'll consider giving Charlotte a title shot against Rhea if she beats Asuka last week. Charlotte lost, though.
She lost, so what? We're going to consider it again? I mean, in Sonya's defense, like the Asuka Rhea Ripley matches have not been great. So maybe she's like, well, we know this will be a good one, so just keep going.
Yeah, maybe. Well, as you mentioned earlier, Charlotte had a couple nods to Andrade in this match. She goes for the moonsault. Asuka evades and stuff. She hits the standing moonsault. And then she's done this a couple times. She does the boot back elbow combo.
Yeah, it's fun to see.
Yeah. She almost fell over doing it this week because she put so much into the getting around to hit that back elbow.
Yeah, what Andrade has in grace, she has in just pure power. Mm-hmm. You know, like she goes all in on it. Mm-hmm. It's pretty great, especially with somebody like Asuka where they know they can work a little bit of snug.
Yeah. One thing about the matches last night, I felt like kind of universally, they were working a little stiffer.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the match?
Like I thought AJ and Ryker, as short as what it was, felt stiff.
That was oddly stiff. It looked like they were just shooting on each other or something. That was weird. But yeah, everybody was like, obviously that every match that Riddle has, it always feels like a real fight.
That match was snug.
Yeah, it was.
It was great.
Big time.
It was a great match.
So yeah, Charlotte's working Asuka's knee for much of this after she had countered a hip attack with a chop block. Asuka mounts a comeback. Like you mentioned, those Andrade sort of shout out spots. Asuka goes for the Asuka lock towards the finish. Charlotte does that thing. You know, Asuka needs to not be going for that Asuka lock with Charlotte because she rolls through every single time. She does that every time. Mm-hmm. She rolls through immediately. This time, Asuka's not able to kick out or push off or whatever it's called. And she gets the pin on Asuka for 3. Terrific match. And they announced that we're going to get afterwards. They announced that we're going to get Charlotte versus Rhea at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, which will be good. It'll be a good match.
It'll be a good match. Yeah,
it's just really one of those things where if this is the result you want, then you could have easily just done it last week. Maybe they just wanted Asuka to get a win because she's been losing a lot lately, but then you got to come up with a explanation for the whole thing. After that, Lashley and MVP are backstage. A PA walks in and tells Lashley that Adam Pearce would like to see him. We get going back on the road promo from Mandy and Dana. And then we get Lashley and MVP in Pearce's office. Pearce asks Lashley, is this the kind of champion you want to be? You know, someone who's interfering in matches. And Lashley says he's the only superstar that can represent Raw. He was trying to help Adam Pearce out. And Adam says, I already made the rematch next week. And if either of you interfere or even so much go ringside, suspended 90 days.
Oof. Not happy about that. And MVP just tries to calm him down. Think about Hell in a Cell. Think about
time to recruit some new members to the Hurt Business.
Speaking of the Hurt Business, Shelton Benjamin versus Cedric Alexander was up next. Cedric had one of his great promos in advance of this.
This is really good.
He has such a great way of adding some improv in there. Whenever Shelton's eyes diverted or whenever he felt Shelton was being dismissive, Cedric would stop what he's saying and he would yell at him to look at me, look at me in the eyes. So he said, we had something. We were the Raw Tag Team Champions, part of the Hurt Business, the best thing in WWE for the past year. He says, you remember when MVP took us in from obscure nobodies to the top of the mountain? And why did they kick us out? Because you're washed up. I'm the one that carried us. They didn't kick us out. They kicked you out, and I was collateral damage. I'm in my prime. Are you? How many more years do you have left? A few weeks ago, you got a fluke win. I'm an evolving athlete, and I learn. See, he believes in wins and learning. And he says, tonight ends with my arm being raised in victory, and a hell of a match between these two.
He says that disappearing or something like that? And you'll be gone for good.
You're going to quantum leap out of here.
Yeah. So during a commercial break, we got a Ted DiBiase promo to hype NXT tonight. Yeah. Anyways, back to this match. So Shelton is wrecking Cedric quite a bit. goes for a T-bone suplex, and then Cedric blocks it, holds on the ropes, hits Shelton with the enziguri. Kind of takes control for a bit, and then in the midst of him having the upper hand, he's talking a bunch of crap while kind of peppering Shelton with kicks, but more just to kind of taunt him and tease him a bit as opposed to actually do damage. This just ends up irritating Shelton. He gets up, hits Cedric with a huge lariat, hits a bunch of offense, goes for pay dirt. Cedric rolls him up, gets a 2 though. Shelton hits a spinning wheel kick, follows a pair of German suplexes. He's going for a third. Cedric sticks his thumb in Shelton's eye and then hits a neuralizer to pick up the win.
Yeah, really good stuff. After that, we had a RK Bro recap, followed by Matt Riddle versus Xavier Woods. And, you could tell, especially afterwards on Twitter, Xavier Woods was sort of responding to people saying, holy crap, that was a wrestling match right there. Because he does. He has been, one of the... we've seen plenty of great New Day matches. But... they're not in singles action that often, and they're not in matches like these that often where it's like a real wrestling match. I love that Riddle is the go-to wrestling match guy.
He's the workhorse.
It's like he's the workhorse. It's like they do the comedy stuff, but when he gets in that ring, anybody who's in there with him, they're going to put on like a 4-star match.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen this time and time again. This is great. I don't even know what would you call this? The bit where Woods did the thing where he
I did like the ripcord right into the suplex.
Yeah. Oh,
the interesting story about this was is that Xavier Woods was the powerhouse in this match. Like he was the one doing all the incredible feats of strength. And that's just not something that's not a story that we generally see in Xavier Woods matches. It's obvious from this that he could do it. You know?
He said he tweeted out something like "Consequences showed up tonight."
Yeah,
which is a shout to his old name. You're right though. We don't see that a lot, and he did fill that role tonight. It was
totally. This definitely a situation like Xavier Woods. He's had singles matches, but they're usually there to facilitate a larger story being told.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is kind of really feels like the first time in a while that he's had a singles match to showcase what he can do. And it was great. It was damn impressive. So he hits a bunch of really impressive power stuff, hits a DVD on the corner of the apron. We go to commercial, we come back, Riddle hits a ripcord knee, he's going for a bro Derek, and they do the thing where they reverse it over and over again.
The flipping tombstone position thing was awesome.
Eventually Woods rams Riddle into the corner, puts him in the tree of woe, gets some offense off that, including a great press, like a military press gutbuster thing, gets a 2 there. Woods goes up to the top. Riddle hits him. They trade some strikes. They knock each other off. Woods hits an enziguri. Riddle responds with the knee and then hits the Kota Ibushi style German suplex off the second rope where Woods is on the apron. That was a nasty landing. That gets Riddle a 2 count. So he goes up, misses a floating bro, runs into a forearm from Woods. Riddle goes for a bro Derek again. Woods escapes. Hits Riddle with a chop, and Riddle just drops him with an RKO. I like they told the story a bit of Riddle was going for the bro Derek, couldn't do it. So he had to go into his pocket and take a page from his tag partner to get the win. Yeah,
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it told a really great story. I thought it advanced the story. Whenever you can advance a story with wrestling moves, that's the best.
That should be like the bare minimum we get every week.
It really
that should be the baseline, right?
Like it's pro wrestling. Tell the stories of the moves. Yeah.
That's what's great about pro wrestling. You could tell stories that get people emotionally invested by people engaging in choreographed fights.
I know. Yeah, it was. I loved it. And he looks right in the camera, shouts out Randy. What do you think Randy's reaction to the RKO is going to be?
Here's the thing.
One of two things. He's going to love it or he's going to hate it.
He's going to either, pat him on the back or roll his eyes. What I really liked after Riddle hit it is he kind of channeled Orton for a bit, just for a moment.
Yeah.
Like he was super intense, kind of seething, and then he kind of gradually went back to being Riddle. But at the end, he was on the turnbuckle kind of doing a amalgam Randy pose and his pose,
Yeah.
So maybe this is all about Riddle becoming Randy Orton to a degree.
Yeah, I thought it was really great. I thought it was awesome.
It was good.
Okay, yeah, so Orton did say on Twitter, he said, I'd say nice form, but also don't steal my shit.
Sounds like Randy Orton.
That's great.
After that, we had AJ Styles versus Jaxson Ryker. So this was a really short match, pretty hard hitting. It moved fast, and then so AJ is on the floor. Elias comes in, hits him with a knee, tosses him back in the ring. Jaxson Ryker hits more or less a boss man slam to get the win, which was surprising enough. Amos, who had stayed backstage, runs out, and Elias is hiding behind the barricade by the timekeeper area. So they have this great shot, which is kind of a low angle, of Amos walking up to the timekeeper area where Elias is hiding behind the barricade just waiting, hoping that Amos doesn't see him. Amos grabs him, pulls him back from behind the barricade, and ends up chasing him and Ryker, Elias and Ryker, up the stage, and then he shoulder tackles Elias into the LED board.
All that was great.
Yeah.
All that was really great. What's not great is Ryker ever pinning AJ Styles.
Interference, doesn't matter. Should not happen.
I don't care that he got hit with an Elias knee beforehand. Dirty, that's fine. I don't like it at all. It's just, and it's not, it honestly, it has nothing really to do with like the extracurricular Ryker stuff. It has to do with he's a henchman. And just in general, a henchman should never, I don't care if AJ's been hit with 500 finishes from everybody.
Yeah.
A henchman should never pin a main event guy, a former WWE, multiple WWE champion guy.
Mm-hmm.
It just shouldn't, it just looked weird. It was off-putting. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. Shouldn't happen. After that, we get a Carrillo and Sheamus recap, followed by Sheamus and Carrillo having a match. Sheamus picks up. This was relatively short. Sheamus dominates early. Carrillo gets some offense in, hits a great looking suicide dive, a back elbow off the top that gets him a 2. Carrillo kind of goes for a roll up, and Sheamus just sits on his chest, grabs a handful of tights to get the win. And he's laying out Carrillo after the bell. Ricochet flies in with the missile drop kick, and then he and Carrillo hit a bunch of awesome high flying type stuff on Sheamus.
Yeah, that suicide dive spot looked kind of scary for Sheamus because like it looked like his head almost got rammed into the commentary desk. But anyways, good stuff. Again, kind of just really physical stuff. Let's see here. Nia Jax and Shayna. Was there another one of those promos? I think I walked out right before this match, so I might have missed some stuff before the main event.
Yeah, there was a promo with Nia and Shayna. Nia was saying what happened last week was a fluke, won't happen again. And then Shayna says Nia keeps getting distracted. Nia tells Shayna to stop being a bully. Says, look, Reginald was shaken up by the fire. Shayna responds by saying, who cares? They were an unstoppable force before Reginald started distracting Nia. And Nia says, well, we're still an unstoppable force. Shayna says, all right, let's prove it. Let's win the titles back tonight without Reginald. And Reginald says, I'm only trying to help. And then Shayna tells him, you can help by staying backstage.
Yeah, but he doesn't do that.
No, he doesn't do that.
He cost them this win. Or I'm sorry, he was trying to when Shayna had like basically the win in hand.
Yeah.
Shayna gets pissed off about that, sends him to the back as he's going over there. A giant pyro goes off basically in his face. And Natalya ends up getting the win. Shayna goes up, yells at Reggie, challenges him to a match next week. It's funny because at first she looked like she was fairly sympathetic to the fact that he just got blowed up on. And then she was like, I'm tired of you always getting in the way. So you and me next week. I really appreciate, dude. I really want Shayna to go back to being just the badass that we all know she is.
Yes.
I feel like she hasn't really lost that necessarily. It's just she's in sort of a very sports entertainment story. And I do adapting so well to being in a sports entertainment story as opposed to like what we saw in NXT, which is just her wrecking people. That being said, I want to see her go back to just wrecking people. That's the best way to use her.
Yes, agreed.
She's
100%.
terrific, though.
She's
absolutely
great.
terrific.
She's great. She is great. We got time to answer a few questions, yeah?
Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to bring up this Patreon thread at the patreon.com/Stephen Larson. I have got to get to those printers out there in Elk Grove and pick up those comic books because at the $20 Patreon reward tier, there you can get the Stephen Larson comic book. It's a Friendo care package, and it comes with this great Stephen Larson comic book and a bunch of stickers, and it's a great way to support Going In Raw. And, we couldn't do this without our great patrons over at
Correct.
Steve and Larson.
Correct. Let's see here.
David Matushek, I guess this is sort of this is apropos. Says, which commentary is better, the commentary on Raw or the commentary as heard on SmackDown Just Bring It for the PlayStation 2? I don't remember that commentary.
Nor do I.
But I'm assuming the idea is that it was not good.
Yeah.
Dude, when you see how well Cole and Pat McAfee are killing it over there on SmackDown, and then you hear what's going on Raw, this is not surprising at all that they mutually decided to part ways.
Yep.
I'm kind of curious. I mean, when they say mutually, I wonder if Adnan went to them, they came to Adnan, or they just met at the same time.
Or a situation where they're like, hey, this isn't working, and Adnan's like, yeah, I guess not. Okay. Mutually, we've agreed to to part ways, Yeah,
they walk up to each other. You think this is working? No, not really. Do you want to try some, maybe work on it? Do we really? I mean, is it really going to get? No, it's not going to get any better. I think we're good.
Yeah. Night by Night here in chat, assuming they had a second job at insurance sales agency, what Raw superstar would you most trust to save you 15% or more on your car insurance?
Oh, wow, yeah. The Steve promo. I'd probably be I feel like I would be Shayna Baszler. I feel like no nonsense.
Yeah.
You'd get the info, I feel like I wouldn't feel like I'm being BS'd, if you will.
Yes. That's a good answer. Oh, Nikki Cross. I feel like she's really trustworthy,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And at the same time, when it gets down to it, she takes no crap from anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
White Brownie with NXT talent getting called up, power rank 3 call-ups. 1 man, 1 woman, 1 tag team. I don't know if NXT can afford to lose a lot of tag teams.
I'm going to head over to UK. I'm going to say Mustache Mountain.
All right.
All right. I'm going to go with people I didn't mention earlier, so no Mustache Mountain.
All right.
I'll go with, oh, man. Call up Gallus Boys. Gallus Boys on top.
Okay.
That'd be a huge blow to NXT UK, but Rampage is there now.
Yeah.
You got Pretty Deadly with those tag titles. I feel like Gallus has done everything they need to do. Get them, call them up. I think they'd be terrific. So I'm going to go with Gallus. And that includes a singles dude, Joe. And then Millie McKenzie.
Wow.
But she has to be Millie, not Amelia, and she has to dance.
Good. And then who from the men's division?
Oh, Joe.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I got grizzled young veterans going to the main roster.
Oh, that's a possibility too. That's a possibility.
Io Shirai.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
And
that's a distinct possibility.
then Roderick Strong.
Oh yeah, he hasn't been seen, has he?
No, in fact he quit. He quit NXT.
He had that manila envelope with his quit in it.
Yeah.
Alex Foster said, in honor of our tribal chief's birthday. Oh, it's Roman's birthday today.
Oh.
He says, you have been invited to celebrate him.
All right.
Celebrate me. What do you bring as a gift, and what do you do to eventually get yelled at or thrown out? Did you? I reposted this on my Twitter when last week on he said, I'm going to allow my counsel to celebrate me.
Yeah.
And Paul Heyman looks at him, and he whips open his jacket as if he's about to unholster his gun, and he has a microphone in a holster position. He picks it up.
It was great.
To celebrate me.
It was so good. Because I was expecting Roman to hand the mic back to Heyman.
Yeah.
And instead, Heyman had his own mic. It was great.
He holstered it. He's in a shootout. It's great.
Assuming that money is no object.
Yeah.
I'd get some of those, assuming Roman doesn't have them already, some of those Dior Jordan 1s that the Young Bucks were wearing.
Oh, that's good.
Roman wears Jordan gear on a regular basis.
Yeah.
He's got a pretty impressive collection of Jordan shoes that we've seen thus far during his appearances on SmackDown. Haven't seen those though, so if money was no object, I'd drop the 7,500 and get him a pair of those.
I'm gonna do this. Being an amateur artist, I'm gonna draw him an 11x17 original drawing of him having stacked legends of the past: Hogan, Cena, Austin, Rock, Undertaker, all the legends of the past. Bruno, Buddy Rogers. He has stacked them all, and he is pinning them all. And there's like gold raining down from the skies, and yeah,
that's good.
So I'm gonna offer that to him, and then to get thrown out, he's gonna look at it and say, "This is a glossy printout, not an original piece of artwork." I'm like, "Well, I work digitally, so there is no."
He says, "So
that doesn't work.
Give me the NFT."
Yeah, give me the. That's what he's gonna. Yeah, give me the NFT. I'm like, Roman, I don't even know how to do that. You're embarrassing me. And if you're embarrassing me, you're embarrassing my family.
Acknowledge the investment opportunities of NFTs.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Shane's birthday tweet: Steve, Larson, Alex, and Kayla form a faction. Who is the leader? Who is the muscle? And who are the tag team?
Alex, I feel like, is the leader.
All right.
Kayla's the muscle.
All right.
And these two idiots are the tag team.
Oh, wow. That, I feel like that spells doom for us. That's because
the numbers don't lie on that.
We're falling apart as it is. Yeah,
it's hanging by a thread.
If we're part of that and we don't hold up our end of the deal, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good at all.
No, not at all.
Jimmy Thomas segments that got dropped from Hulu were Shelton versus Cedric, AJ versus Ryker, and Sheamus versus Carrillo. So that whole chunk of show just got cut, huh? Whoops.
Well, maybe that means in Huluverse, AJ never got pinned by
That's true.
By Ryker.
That's true.
Oh, wow. So we don't do punishments for B-level pay-per-views, but Cameron Bartolozzo has an idea for a punishment. Maybe we consider it for SummerSlam. Wow, this is a good one. This is a really good one. It says, for punishments, the winner gets to wear Roman's head of the table shirt, and the loser has to wear Jay's right-hand man shirt.
That is good.
Oh, that's a solid one.
That is good.
Ouch. That's
good.
going to sting. I feel it's around August. Tradition holds. I might be losing Big Red. I might lose Big Red at Hell in a Cell.
Well, you got to worry about the AEW title this weekend.
I don't think I do. I got all that down. Cody's winning. Yeah, I got all that down.
Fluffy Canuck. Which 3 Raw superstars would you like to go on a hiking trip with? It seems like they enjoy hiking and know their way around trails.
Doesn't Braun do that?
Maybe.
I don't know if I'd want to hike with Braun. At a certain, I'm just like, okay, who would I want to hang out with? Who would have good stories?
The upside of hiking with Braun is a tree that falls on the trail. Mm-hmm. He can move that.
He can move it. Or if we get followed by one of those like a mountain lion or something, I'll just be like, Braun, go take care of that. That mountain lion's gonna get these hands.
Maybe John Morrison would be fun to go on a hike with.
Oh yeah, he'd be great. John Morrison. I'm gonna say Charlotte because we'll bring along Andrade, and she does seem like a really sweet person, and he's cool.
Yeah.
And then Nikki Cross. She'll bring along Big Damo.
There you go.
There are a couple, aren't they? Yeah, there are a couple.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What are some... Dog Authority figure. What are some matchups you never get tired of seeing? And what are some you'd be happy to never see again?
I'd be perfectly happy never to see Randy Orton and John Cena ever wrestle again.
Yeah, that's not a terrible one. I'd be happy for Drew McIntyre never to wrestle Bobby Lashley again. One I'd never get tired of seeing, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus.
Yeah.
I'm actually really into that. I thought they put on nothing but great matches.
That's true. Daniel Bryan versus just about anybody. Never get tired of it.
Never get tired of that. Matt Riddle versus anybody. I never get tired of that. I always know it's going to be a good match. Wolfpack For life. What is the best thing about being a wrestling fan? About being a wrestling fan.
I think for us, it's easy watching as much as what we do, and we don't even watch it all. Can't, It's easy to kind of get jaded to a degree or cynical. But when you get that match or that show where you get invested and you see the what pro wrestling offers up from a storytelling perspective that can move you. That's when it's the best. That's when it's the absolute best.
I'm gonna steal Jonathan's answer here. I'm gonna say community. If you find the right wrestling community to be a part of, then it's really great because it is the singular thing that you can sort of, latch onto and discuss and talk about. Even if wrestling is even if modern day wrestling isn't really your thing, there's such a great history to reflect on. So I'm going to say friendships that are made.
Good.
Let's see here. Moses Opposa says, after Reginald is done with the women's division, do you think he'll hop over to NXT or stay a main roster wrestler? I suspect Reginald's going to fulfill the same role for maybe about 3 years or so, and then he'll probably just be released at some point. Look, I'd love to see him in NXT or something, but his kind of character, the sort of comedy participant, fringe guy, the supporting player in a comedy angle, they usually don't have a ton of legs, I don't think.
They don't, but if, say that storyline runs its course and then he's taken off TV for a bit, shows back up in NXT to kind of, get a repackaging as perhaps a more serious competitor. That's entirely possible. It depends if it's a situation, though, where Vince it really likes what he does and continually finds stuff for him to do on main roster, and then at a certain point runs out of things to do, but by that juncture sees him as only fulfilling that role, then yeah, it's entirely possible that'll be a situation where he's up there for 3 or 5 years kind of doing the same thing over and over, then he gets cut. It's all up to Vince's whims.
Yeah, pretty much.
Die Hard Homer, can a Money in the Bank cash-in ever occur where they fail, but it's revealed the contract was not inside the briefcase when they tried?
I guess anything's possible these days with what happened with The Miz.
Yeah.
But I'd be kind of surprised if they went into that level, because then you're establishing the precedent, although they'd have to follow precedent, which they never do. That you have to, you have the briefcase, you open it up, take out the contract. I don't know.
Yeah, you actually have to show the contracts inside, yeah.
You don't want a situation where in order to cash in, you have to bring a notary public with you.
Yeah, no, it kind of takes the drama out of it.
Pretty much. Let's see here. Sleazy Mo. It would be cool if WWE were to push an underused wrestler when fans come back. A babyface jobber can all of a sudden start racking up wins with the rationale the crowd's energy is motivating him. Well, that's kind of a cool idea. He says, who should fill this role? I could maybe Carrillo. I could see that with Carrillo maybe. Drew Gulak.
Ricochet.
Drew Gulak. Yeah, maybe Ricochet. Let's see here. Shendo, we'll end on this one. Says, after a shaky start to his Raw career, Matt Riddle has consistently been the best part of Raw for months now. Is it only a matter of time before he's thrust into the world title picture? I'm interested to see where he's at a year from now. And then we'll see. But I can't believe, I gotta believe that at some point, yeah, he'll probably break through maybe sooner than later.
It feels like a situation where if it's sooner, it's to be put in the world title program that he loses.
Yeah.
Whereas if they take their time with him, the odds are better that when he actually gets up into the main event, that he'll have a chance to actually win.
Yeah.
Let's say Lashley keeps the belt for another 6 months. They could build Riddle up enough to challenge, but he's not going to win.
I could see, how about this? This is what I could totally see happening. Between now and, I don't know, Survivor Series or something, they do the turn where Randy Orton turns on him, and Randy Orton is just doing his best vicious heel stuff, really helping out Riddle becoming like a true fan favorite guy, especially with fans back. And he has just a killer feud with Randy Orton. That alone could put him into position where it's like, oh, this guy, he might win the Rumble, because a feud with Randy Orton is a big deal. And if you come out on the, on the other side of that with some solid wins, and Randy's done everything, he's gone back to his, kicking people in the head thing. I could see Riddle winning the Rumble. I could see him at that point being the guy that the crowd is firmly behind. And then who knows, like him versus Lashley, and that those are going to be killer matches if they were decided to do that.
Yeah, but I think that with this Orton storyline, this is going to take a while. They're going to have a run as a tag team, and then they'll break up, and then they'll feud. So we're talking probably end of the year, I would think, towards the last quarter of the year. And who knows if Lashley will even be champion at that juncture.
I mean, you say that, and then next week Orton's going to RKO Riddle for using his move. But I mean, that's the cool thing about this feud, though, is that because what you're saying is completely possible, but you never know with Orton. Like, this dude could they could win the tag championships, and then Orton just immediately hits Riddle with an RKO, and then
entirely possible.
Like, that's what I love about it, is that it's so unpredictable. It's good stuff. Anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Today's Tuesday. Tonight is NXT, so we're going to do our recap live tonight after NXT.
We'll do Friendo Club TV instead of Power Rank, though. We'll have the Friendos help us prepare for Quizzlemania.
Got to prepare for Quizzlemania. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Help support Going In Raw today by becoming a Friendo Club TV member. You'll get access to new bonus episodes every week, including Friendo Club Arcade, Live Power Rank, Vintage 10 for the Wins, and Ask Steven Larson. Get access to Friendo Club TV today by becoming a $5 and up patron at patreon.com/Steven Larson, by throwing us a sub at twitch.tv/Steven Larson, or by clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson.